First of all, I would like to thank you, the organizers of this most prestigious conference. I am really most honored to be here with such interdisciplinary and different people coming from different topics. And also, I mean, I have been here many years ago because my research are really not focusing on the archaeology of the Arabian Peninsula for sure. And I also do belong to the Indian Ocean Studies group, which is actually kind of, you know, Anglo-Saxon club. And also as an Italian, I don't know why they always invited me. Maybe because they don't realize sometimes that I'm not British, of course. This topic is quite interesting because it could be very close to some of the research that are going to be presented here. In a short summary, I have been working many years. I do teach in the Faculty of Political and Social Sciences in the Catholic University in Milan. And I have been working many years in this region that I decided to put in the title, that is Makran. Makran derives from the term Makuran and has a prejudice meaning because it's defined to be a region where the black people are living because of the slave African descent. And this region is today divided. I try to show you a map that you don't know. It's divided between Iran and Pakistan. The reason why Makran has been divided between Iran and Pakistan is quite interesting because we are coming to a huge issue, which is a huge issue absolutely today, that is the artificial apposition of political borders. These political borders had been created artificially with a pencil in the center of London by Sir Cyril Ratcliffe, who didn't know where this region was and was absolutely not interested for the simple reason that it was perceived as politically better to bordering with Iran from British India than with a tribal area inhabited by savage nomads. Today, you can easily see how this region has been suffering by this creation of this political border, because Makran today, the part which belongs to Pakistan, is defined a terra incognita, is defined a no objection visa impossible to get. So you can't visit because it's defined a terrorist group, dangerous place. And there is a port, the name of the port, you can't see it here, but then I will show you some pictures afterwards. This is an archive research that is named Gwadar. Gwadar must not be confused with Watar, that is in Iran. So there are two towns, villages close to one another, but divided by the border. And this port has always been a strategic port of the trade and of the slave trade and of the goods trades coming from sub-Saharan East Africa, coming especially from the island of Zanzibar, which has been defined as a Omani dominion, a dominion of the Omani sultans, which is not something really corresponding to reality. And this hub was very deep in the memory of the people and was starting from, thanks to the monsoons, winds, from the islands of sub-Saharan East Africa up to the Gwadar port, up to Central Asia, and vice versa. Therefore, there was a huge alarm with regards to European history. And this is an ancient map that was found in an Italian library, actually, because I discovered that there was a British explorer who had his book translated into Italian in 1810. In 1819, it was published in Milan because there were many people in Italy who were very curious and they wanted to read about, you know, exotic places, and there was no Netflix. So they just had these pictures and this map. But this map is politically very much interesting and important because not of regional or local crisis or political situation, but because of a French menace. Because we are here, so we can remember that Napoleon wished to invade India. On the 25th of January, 1799, Napoleon writes a letter from Cairo in Egypt with a proposed alliance to the Sharif of Mecca, to the Sultan of Oman, and to Tipu Sultan of Mysore, which was the last Maharajah state that was revolting against the Anglo-British army. The proposal was an alliance against the iron joke of the British. And the thing is that this letter never reached its destination because it was intercepted by a spy. It was intercepted by a spy who was Captain Wilson in Mocha in Yemen, who translated into English from the original French, which is preserved here, Les Invalides. And from that translation, all the defense policy of British India was destined to modify until the creation of this map, until the creation of the political borders, because it was necessary for Great Britain to know what was between Persia and India, because this cartography didn't exist. It was scientifically defined terra incognita. And the decision, the political decision, not because of a local menace, but because of a French menace, which were organized with Alexander I, the Tsar of Russia, because the idea of Napoleon was conquering India both by land from the north and by sea. But this, let's say, great ambition was canceled because Napoleon just went back to Spain and he became emperor. So he left this strategic idea, which was not totally abandoned, of course. And the result was that we had these first British explorations by Lieutenant Grant, by Harry Pottinger, who died in this desert because this is a desert region. This is a very poor rainfall region. There are oases, there are a flash, but still the population is even today kept in ignorance, in poverty, because the majority, the political class in Pakistan is not coming from Baluchistan, it's coming from Punjab, coming from Lahore. And The result was the creation of a new political entity where the port of Gwadar was sold to the Sultanate of Oman in order to secure the region and in order to organize the huge topic that, of course, we can't face today, that is the slave trade. The dynasty that you can see in Muscat with this 19th century picture of the port of Muscat, that is the capital of Oman, with these Portuguese ports. You can see many Portuguese towers in Muscat. This is in a flash. And then I would like to show you this resemblance of the towers that you can see to the other side of the shore, because this one doesn't exist anymore. It has been destroyed. This is a Portuguese cannon that has been found in Makran, and also this one doesn't exist anymore. Also, this Portuguese tower in Gwadar has been destroyed. So these pictures are quite, I know the quality is awful because I don't know how to take pictures, but then, but then it's always better than nothing, simply because they don't exist anymore. Also, this one has been destroyed. This is the beach of Gwadar. These are an old picture. These are us when we pay for energy in Italy. This is the result. We have paid it. This is the man snake. Well, this is a huge issue. Of course, Pakistan is a Muslim country with a Sunni majority, but then in Makran you have Zikris. You have a Zikris minority, and especially in the Brahi group, because Baluchis is not all the same people. They are divided also between Baluchis and Brahi, and they also speak another dialect, another language. And from the religious point of view, they are Zikris, and they are organizing pilgrimage in the town of Turbat to the Koi Murad, and they also have been persecuted because of this, let's say, local religion that is very much supported by local rights. This traditional girl with these very precious embroideries that you can easily see not only here in Makran in Pakistan, but also in Oman. Many of the national dresses are with these very important embroideries. These dresses were used to be made in cotton, but now the majority of them are synthetic because cotton is too expensive. And here you see how this population on the coast is very mixed up between African descent people and Asian people. And this is what happens the same to the other side of the coast in Iran, where there is a very important scholar. Her name is Benaz Mirzai. She also organized a movie, and she did a huge research on the Afro descent people in Iran that is exactly to the other side of the border. Myself, I reached the last border. There is a village that is named Jiwani before the border with Iran, and there is a wall, and it's written, "Death to America." This is what I saw. The way the African presence has been perceived inside the Sultanate of Oman is a very much different way from what is perceived in Europe, from what is perceived in other different countries. Because the sultans were also sons of African wives, concubines, women, and the color of the skin, while is a huge issue all over the world, especially today, was not considered a prejudice, was not considered something less with regards to Black people coming from Africa. What was considered less was the origin, was the geographical origin of the people. And in this case, for a very long time, according to many researchers before mine, what was believed was that these Baluch soldiers were simply mercenaries, were simply poor people who were desperate and they were selling themselves on the coast in order to find a better life inside the Omani army. They were taken on the doors through the Indian Ocean to East Africa, and then they became something else. This is not totally true. First, because the vastness of the linkages inside the Indian Ocean is much wider than the research are perceiving. Also because with regards, for example, with the slave trade, the majority of the research are mainly on transatlantic slave trade. And then on the Indian Ocean, we still need data, we still need researchers. This is an open issue. So probably new research will find different quantities, different data. You have a scholar here in France who is Prétré-Grenouillon. He wrote many essays and books about the history of slavery, and he's talking about, you know, this Oriental slave trade made by eunuchs, made by concubines, not big quantities, not too cruel, which is not absolutely true, because the slave trade is something unhuman, for definition. And the role of the Africans inside Asia and both inside Africa has to be reread with this new perception, new research in mind, not looking merely at the color of the skin, in my humble opinion, of course. This is me, woo! Like 1 century ago, of course, 1.5 centuries ago to this afternoon for sure. And you see, in this country, only men can dance, and they wear this embroidered women's dress, and they just, you know, put money on your head in order to give value to your presence. And also, this is 2 centuries ago, that I was forced to dress as a soldier, as an Omani soldier, as a man, to walk around. And here we come to our last part, let's say, of the Asian presence in East Africa. So as I was saying, the necessity to reread this part of the world history is so huge because today, for example, you know, the port of Gwadar has been object of the One Belt, One Road initiative from China with a huge $1 billion investment, because the idea is connecting Xinjiang, it is connecting Afghanistan and Pakistan until the warm seas, and transforming Gwadar in 2030 Dubai. To tell you the truth, I have been to Gwadar. I know the place. I don't think it will become a 2030 Dubai. Honestly, I don't think it will happen. One of the reasons why is exactly this map that I was trying to explain you before. So let us try to answer this huge question: why do we think that it's very difficult that this place will become really the same like the other shore of the Gulf, which is also very close? Because of this political border supposition, because of the local realities, because these people, they do not want invaders. They do not want to be dominated either by Omanis, either by British, either by Chinese today. And what they have been always doing is destroying the telegraph line. The telegraph line was something absolutely essential because there was a French menace, and the British didn't know what this place was. So they needed to communicate between UK and Calcutta and Mumbai. 6 months was the time for a letter from Great Britain to India, while with the favorable monsoon, in 10-12 days, you could reach easily East Africa to Asia and vice versa. So you see, the time and space issues are making the difference in the Indian Ocean. So this tribe of people, they are so proud, they don't want to be defined as mercenaries, they are fighting for their autonomy from the central government of Pakistan. Nobody is listening to them. No US administration has ever been, they just stand in front of Washington, DC entrance, but the gate is closed for them. And one of the last reasons is that this region is rich of uranium and has always been used as nuclear weapon test, because you know that Pakistan is a nuclear power, and this is a desert region, so the local population are suffering from childbirth death, from tumors. They are very much suffering, but as soon as they are not politically relevant inside their own government, in one state that is Pakistan, and also in the other state that is Iran, they have been persecuted, yes, because they were forbidden to speak their languages, and they were forced to speak Farsi. Therefore, we hope for the future, beside the huge Middle Eastern crisis, that this region will receive some more light in order to respect possibly the local human rights. Thank you very much.